Welcome to B2B Life with Jeff Brummer. This is your chance to listen in on conversations with successful entrepreneurs and business owners on their journey to success. Every story is different, but after consulting thousands of businesses over the last 20 years managing their business payments, Jeff has seen what works and what doesn't. From inspiration to tactics to a good laugh, helping leaders build more fulfilling businesses and lives is what B2B Life is all about.
Welcome to B2B Life. My name is Jeff Brummer. This is where we connect high performers and you find out what makes them tick, both professionally and personally. My name is Jeff Brummer, and I've helped over 2,600 business owners and C-level clients over the last 20 years in professional services in all things money management and personal and business goals. My guest today is Hans Anderson at NetPhone. NetPhone is an industry leader in cloud phone systems. Hans has worked with mutual clients of mine and given them amazing service and products. Hans has been in this role or in this industry for 18 years. Hans, welcome today.
Thanks, Jeff.
Excellent. Well, thanks for hopping on. I love the Christmas tree. We're doing this around Christmas time, so we're not out golfing, but it's fun to kind of do this indoors when it's cold out. Not much you can do outside. So
It's definitely cold right now.
Yes. Well, good. How did you starting off? How did you get into your current profession? Like, kind of maybe give us some background, college, how you evolved into this role, what you're doing now.
Yeah. So I when I got out of high school, I went into the military. Was in the Air Force. When I got out of the Air Force, in the Air Force, I was in a role that really isn't a role that you can leave the Air Force and automatically go into the same job field. So I ended up just going to school, getting some business, getting a associates in business. And then I ended up working for a, sorry, I'm not an guy, but
You're good.
I ended up working for a Christian talk radio station. I got in selling radio ads for a little Christian talk radio station. And my sales manager, as well as one of my mentors, still to this day, that's where I started. We had a lady named Shirley Tom, who was our sales manager there. And she's really the one that got me into the business to business sales side of it and taught me a lot of really interesting things that you would never have thought, especially being somebody who's just new getting into sales. And I learned so much from her. And then I had my mentor who also worked there. And we had the first 24-hour Hispanic radio station. So that was a big deal.
Where was this at?
In Seattle. It was in
Seattle.
Seattle. It was the first 24-hour Hispanic station in Seattle. Radio Soul.
Nice.
And my mentor, the guy named Ed Ramirez, and he and I worked really closely together. We actually built a lot of events together in Seattle, hung out a lot. He really took me under his wing and taught me a lot of things about not just radio, but about sales in general. He's actually an old beer guy that got into radio. And it was a great experience working there. And then when I left there, I actually left. It was an interesting way I left because my sales manager at the time, Shirley Tom, she came to me one day and talked to me, and she's like, "Hey, I'm going to bring you to an event because I want to introduce you to some people who are at a lot larger radio stations here in Seattle, because I think you would be a better fit at some of those because you do a really good job and you've taken a lot of what I've taught you into yourself to make yourself a very strong business professional." We actually had a really interesting deal. I won't mention the company name because I don't have a disclaimer for that, but we had an opportunity with our Hispanic station, being the first 24-hour station, that we looked at. We were selling ads for it, and we were selling them pretty inexpensive. But in the radio industry, it's interesting because you have to work to find the good accounts. You have to work with agencies. advertising agencies. And it's really, really hard when you're a small station to get in there because there's this thing called the Arbitron ratings. And if you're a radio station that doesn't subscribe to those Arbitron ratings, you're pretty much locked out. So we went and talked to this ad agency, and the first thing he asked me was, what are your ratings? You guys aren't in Arbitron that I know of, are you? And I'm like, no. He goes, yeah, we don't typically work with stations that aren't in the Arbitron. So I convinced him to have a meeting with us because we had this 24-hour Hispanic station. I thought it was going to be kind of a good fit for one of his large customers, which is a very large name airline. So we went and talked to him, and the meeting kind of went in this whole realm of Arbitron ratings. And we ended up talking to him about how important the Hispanic culture is in the Seattle area and how big this radio station is going to be for them. And he ended up telling us, hey, I need to go talk to somebody. So let me put this meeting on hold. So we're like, all right. So we start grabbing our stuff, and he's like, hey, don't leave. He goes, it's only going to take me about 10 minutes to make this phone call. And we're like, all right. So we go, and he goes and makes his phone call, comes back, and he goes, I need you to put together some numbers for me. I actually have a customer who was that airline who just ended up building 3 direct routes from Seattle to Mexico City. And I think this might be a great fit for that. Because what Radio Soul had just gotten was the Hispanic broadcast of the Seattle Mariners. So with that, he came back and basically said, we want to own the Seattle Mariners broadcast in Hispanic. We want to be your top advertiser for that. We came back, and it ended up being one of the largest accounts that radio station's ever had. So that was a really fun story as being the young Hans.
Your face lit up when you talked about Ed and Shirley.
Oh, they're great.
So that's cool. They the thing I love about that, just touching base, is that you're if you guys would have kind of been skittish about talking to them about advertising and like analysis paralysis, like, well, we don't really have those ratings yet, and you what do they say? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So you just gotta get out there and try things, and that seemed like it worked out for you guys.
Yeah, and Shirley's thing was always, no just means not right now.
Yeah,
no just means not right now, and we got quite a few no's at that time, but not right now ended up being about 2 weeks later. So that worked out.
Awesome. Yeah.
So in the telecom space, I got in the telecom space because I was in the radio industry for about 4.5, 5 years, and Sirius was just starting to come out, and it was kind of this thing where, you're doing really good before the online radio stuff started happening, but it starts getting to that place where you need to start kind of, is this really the best role for me? Is this really what I want to do? So I started looking for a new career path that was built around the sales side of it. And my wife got on me because I had this lady who still is, again, probably one of the best sales managers I had as well, named Priscilla Peterson. She ended up bringing me or sending me these requests to have interviews. And I asked her, I'm like, what are we selling at this company? And she's like, oh, we're selling phone lines and internet. And I'm like, I'm going from selling radio ads, which was cool because we have these big fancy events and, we rent out boats and restaurants and have these events for our listeners, to selling phone lines and internet. I don't know if I really want to do that. She was incredibly persistent. I think she ended up reaching out to me at least 3 to 4 times with me saying, no, I'm not interested. Told my wife about it. My wife's like, you're crazy. It's like, if she's asking you to come interview 3 to 4 times, this might just be fate. This might be where you're supposed to be. Why don't you give it a shot? So I'm like, all right. So I'll go, and I met with her. And after a couple things I had to do as an interviewee, including like a ride along here and there, I ended up going on board with Integra Telecom and had a great team. It was really an interesting environment there because it's very Integra was a very interesting company. everybody became friends. Everybody became really close. In fact, some of the people I used to work there are almost like family, still to this day. It was really just an interesting environment, but they all were all everybody in some capacity. I should say at least most people at some capacity are now still in the telecom industry. And they're somehow, and most of them are still somehow involved either in upper management at some companies or they're channel partners, people that I work with, or channel managers. So I've been able to still stay really well connected because we all may not work for the same company, but a lot of us all still work together.
Yeah.
So Integra really built an interesting culture um, in the telecom space that made the people that worked in the industry really want to stick around in the industry. So a lot of us just stayed. We kept doing telco. We knew it. It's a growing industry. It's constantly changing, and it's not just selling phone lines and internet. It's fun. We actually have a good time, and we have some really great events that we do every year. So it's really it's a really cool industry to be in.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's definitely more customizable every day, that industry, to what clients really need in a system, compared to the sunsetting radio. Radio can only be done one way.
Yeah.
That's cool. Cool story. Well, so what, changing gears here, what motivates you like in the morning? You've been successful at this role. Like what motivates you for your day? Kind of ongoing. You've stuck with this role for 18 years in the business realm. Like what's motivated you to kind of hang on?
Well, I get this question a lot from people. I really like to think I do things different than quite a few other people that are in my industry. I'm very, very proactive when it comes to going out with partners and spending time in front of people. I really enjoy that portion of the industry, and I always have. That's why I've stayed in sales for so long. So one of my biggest motivations is I love meeting new people. I mean, even just you and I think we just met probably about a month and a half ago at an event that we do every month. And I really enjoy it. A lot of my partners, if you talk to my partners that are very active, you'd find a lot of them say that I'm probably one of the only people in my role that will actually spend a half a day and go out and prospect with them and go talk to new companies just off the cuff. Because it's really something I like to do. And I find it very proactive and very productive when we go out and have those type of events, one-on-one as partners and us. Motivation wise, I would have said something different probably 54 days ago. But I started doing this 75 hard program because
Yeah.
I noticed, after the pandemic, I started gaining weight that I didn't want to have. And I tried this and that to try to work it off and do all this. But I found this program from a friend of mine who I went to high school with and said, hey, I'm going to give it a shot. Hopefully I can make it through 75 days. And part of that motivation that I have has it's changed with me starting this program. I force myself every morning to wake up at 5 a.m. And I go work out for 45 minutes outdoors. So I really enjoy that. And I've learned that even if I wasn't doing this program, I'm so accustomed now to waking up at 5 a.m. because once I get that 45-minute workout in and I grab an egg and some turkey bacon or something for breakfast, I have got so much energy come seven
Yeah.
o'clock.
Yeah.
I am so awake. It's not like it used to be where I'd wake up at 6 o'clock, open my calendar, see what's going on, and try to build a plan. After I get that workout done, I am so ready to go.
Oh yeah. You're
I'm
fine. Your body's fully awake. You're ready to rock.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that has really become a huge motivation for me. I mean, I could say the stereotypical stuff. Family, friends, going out and doing stuff. But I like to really look at the motivation side and what truly is what truly is an activity within me and things that I do that motivate me to keep going. And that's what I would say is probably the main two things for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I haven't done 75 hard yet. I think you could probably light a fire on me to start that, but I think that's really, you have to find your own internal why, and I think those are what motivates you. Is similar to me, honestly, where I feel like in the morning, if I can get that morning routine going, like I feel like $1,000,000, and I'm like, man, I literally I could do anything today. Like because kind of once you do that hard thing in the morning, they call it eating the frog, right? Or
Yeah.
embracing the suck of it. Like
Yeah.
once you do that, you're like, oh man, and like there's something physiologically and psychologically that you're like, I can do anything today. Like let's get it going, and that's killer if you can get that habit going early in the morning.
Well, and part of the crazy part that I've learned with it is that I don't listen to music when I work out in the morning. I just go silent.
Mhm.
If I do listen to something, I'll listen to either a podcast or I'll listen to the news or something on my headphones. But the one thing I really noticed is whether I'm listening to something or not, as long as it's not music, I can really focus a lot on what's going on for the day while I'm doing that routine.
Yeah.
So
Kind of vision casting. Hey, what am I gonna do today to be successful? What
yeah,
focus of the day?
it's been a really enlightening thing to me, with those morning workouts, and of course I do the afternoon workouts. That's just standard workout. Just work out,
Yeah,
listen to music, get it done. But
yeah,
that morning workout has just become probably I would not be the person who would have told you this 54 days ago. But out of that 75 hard, I think the one thing I've gotten the most out of is having that morning workout. It is
yeah,
the weirdest thing. I looked at it at first and said, "Oh, this is going to be hell."
yeah.
Wake up in the morning and go work out. This is going to be terrible.
Oh, I'm sure you still, I still have anyway, that when I wake up, I'm like, oh, that bed's so warm, and I want to,
Yeah,
what if I didn't do it today? And the brain starts negotiating, like, well, you did have this. Are you kind of sick? Or you have to kind of eliminate that negotiation to get that going.
you definitely do, and it's I especially at the beginning I had that problem a lot.
Yeah,
Now I don't. This morning was probably the hardest one I've had for a while. I actually was in that realm a little bit when I woke up. I'm like, oh, maybe I just cheat on this one day. And I was like,
yeah,
nope, I'm getting out. I'm like, I got to do this podcast with Jeff, so I'm going to make sure I'm on the ball. And to do that,
yeah.
I have to do my workout.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. And your it's kind of, the mind the body is a gateway to the mind, right? So you
Yep.
think clearest when your body is feeling good and you have the juices flowing, and so that's good. Well, now's the time to brag. That you've kind of touched on things that I've seen about you as far as your natural. I think you have natural, like a likability, they call that. Like I think that's how you and I kind of kicked our relationship off, where I felt like you're easily approachable, and that may be like a God given talent. Do you have any like skills that you've had to work at, like it's time to brag? Like, what are you good at as far as your skills that maybe wasn't so natural for you, that you've had to work at in your life, both whether
Um,
it's professional or personal, like something you've worked at, you could say that I'm pretty good at that now.
yeah, I would say you're partially right about the God given side of it for being likable. I would say that when I got out of the military, I had some issues that I had to fix because of some of the things that I had to do when I was in the military.
Yeah,
And I was definitely not the most approachable guy when I came out of the military. Um, I think part of where I'm at now, um, has come with age, but it's but come with experience as well.
yeah,
I think with the industry that I'm in right now and what I do for work, with NetPhone, that part of my likability especially in this role, is that I have got such great people that I report to, and I talk and that run our company. They make working for the company easy. I am in probably I not to throw any of my counterparts under the bus, but I am in the best territory that anybody can have. I'm in a place where I have to build my territory because there's not a lot of what we call partners in the industry in my territory. So a lot of the people that I'm working with are people that I'm just introducing to the channel and introducing. Even they might be in technology, but they're not necessarily into doing voice services. So I think my likability comes from everything's different every single day, and it's a different challenge. And do I have bad days? Absolutely. I have some
Yeah.
really bad days sometimes, but I end with a smile on my face because a lot of them are stuff that I couldn't control. And
Yeah.
I think part of who I am and what the bragging portion of me comes from me when I was married. My wife and I think I told you before, we got divorced after 15 years. And after 3 years of being divorced, we ended up getting back together. Well, during that time, I was, during our first part of our marriage, I was not really the happiest person you could be around. I can guarantee you, I'd be the first to admit I was not the easiest person to be married to. Work was everything. My whole life revolved around work, brought it home every day. I was angry half the time. So during the time that her and I were divorced, I actually took a lot of classes. I took a lot of classes on how to better myself. I even took anger management classes. I just took things that I took classes that could make me a better person. And some of the stuff that I learned, and I actually learned from her because we didn't talk, but during that time we were divorced, she actually did a lot of the same things. And she took a lot of classes. And she actually went and got her degree during that time. And one of the things that she told me right when we got back together was, you got to make stress your friend. The corniest line I've ever heard. That was the dumbest line I have ever heard when I heard her first say that. I was like, what are you talking about? Make stress your friend. She goes, you got to understand. She goes, this is something that I learned, but she goes, you got to understand that you can't control 90% of the stress that comes into your life.
Yeah.
So if you can't control it or change it, then you can't let it affect your day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that's profound.
Yeah.
That's a great line. And for the first while, I kind of let it go in one ear and out the other. I was like, well,
Yeah.
can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah.
Um, but she implemented that in her life. And I could see that in her because she was a different person, because she truly did make sure that was part of what she had going on. So I'm like, well, why not me? Why don't I try that? And why don't I make a conscious effort to make sure that I don't let things that I can't control or change affect me?
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And that's kind of put me into the place that I'm in with mentality, with work, with health, with anything. If I can't change it,
Yeah.
if I can't make it different, then I can't let it control me and control my thought process. And I like to take that in the same realm with work, because a lot of the things that I can change with work just means that I have to be a more open person to be able to spend more time with my partners and help them understand things, help them find new customers, help them close deals if they need that help, help them find resources within our company and others, just to be able to be that person that is personable, friendly, and easy to work with.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I appreciate the vulnerability on that, on everything you shared. I similar. I think I had some. I always thought I could change the world, but it's really, in reality, all you can change is yourself and your own controllables. And what's that? The serenity prayer. God, give me the strength to distinguish the things I have control versus not, and the wisdom therein. I've probably slaughtered that, but it's basically what you're saying. Like, You only can control so many things, and it's if you're stressing about things that are out of your realm, it's just kind of a wasted effort, and it's easier said than done, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's that's I like that. I wrote down that quote from your wife: "Stress is your friend," because really, kind of like the 75 hard. If you can embrace the reality of it, hey, this sucks, and it's part of life, and there's got to be something here for me to learn. Like, there's got to be something here for me to kind of go through and figure out. So
Yeah.
good attitude. Cool. Well, I know you had a little book or a kind of a part of this. I want to kind of educate our audience on something maybe you've learned recently, or a good book you've read, or a quote. And I think you had something you wanted to bring up. I'd love to talk about that for a sec.
Yeah. So, I already kind of brought up the 75 hard thing. Part of the 75 hard program is you have to read 10 pages a day. So when I first started, I actually read a book about debt and money management and stuff. I apologize. I can't remember the name of the book. It was good, but I can't remember.
Okay.
But it was more of a self-improvement educational type of thing. And then I finished that book, and one of the guys who's in our industry, he's out of Minnesota. He actually wrote a book, and he's promoted it really well on LinkedIn. A guy named Eric Brooker. So I was like, it's more of it seemed more of a like just a motivational book that he wrote, and it's called "You Are Enough."
Mhm.
And I was like, hey, I mean, I'm gonna check it out. So I ended up purchasing the book, and I've been reading it, and it is really a great book. And it's even though Eric is more of a telco guy, it's a great book for everybody because it's not really built around our industry as a motivational sales book. It's
Mhm.
built around a book that it's filled with a lot of stories of the suck, if you know what I mean. It's built around a lot of those type of stories and how him and others have gotten out of those, and kept rolling. And I think I I did not expect the book to be like that, but I'm glad it is. Especially doing like this 75 hard program. It's a great book for that program, even because, like you'd mentioned, embrace the suck. And I think every day all of us can find something to complain about,
Oh yeah.
right? We can all
Yeah.
find something that can ruin our day. And we and then we can have those life events. And Eric talks about a lot of those in the book where you could have an event like something that just something that's happened and it's only affected you for an hour, 2 hours, but it could affect your entire year.
Yeah.
It could ruin your entire like the next 6 years. It could ruin a lot of things within you, mentally, physically, whatever. And that book has a lot of great stories and a lot of motivational on how people, himself and other people, have gotten out of those situations and really changed their mental focus on finding a way to stay positive, to move forward. And frankly, like the title is, remind yourself that you are enough. It's a great
Yeah.
book.
Yeah. That's awesome. We'll have to get a link to that, put it in our show notes. Love to delve into that. So I'm a big Audible guy, so maybe it's on
Yeah,
Audible too. So
I think it might be. I'm not sure. My other
okay.
thing I like is not to throw the one that a lot of people listen to. I love Joe Rogan. I'm a
Okay.
huge Joe Rogan podcast guy.
Yeah.
I think Joe has built his podcast around being something that's good for everybody.
Yeah.
You don't have to be on one side of the fence or the other. You don't have to believe one thing or the other. He brings on so many people on there, and Joe has become a master at asking fantastic questions,
Yeah.
to experts in different types of things, to be able to just open your mind on things that you may have never thought about. So I love listening to Joe Rogan as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I haven't listened to him very much. I probably should. I listen to quite a few podcasts, but I love the fact that he does like long form and kind of gets into the weeds with his guests. And that, like you said, what's the saying? The quality of life is based off the quality of questions you ask. So
Yeah.
he sounds like a great question asker, and that's how you really learn is to ask the right questions, right? So
Yeah.
that's cool. So in changing gears, what's something that like we're always looking for life hacks? Like what is there something that you've done in your life to simplify your life or to maximize your time or your day, whether it be business or personal? Like, is there something that you have kind of a mindset on to kind of maximize your time in this life? Like, is there something that you could think of that's related to that?
Yeah. So now I'm going to throw myself under the bus. For the first, probably the first 10 years of my business career, I was the worst at paper, office management stuff. I mean, I was the worst guy. I would be the worst person. If you were my sales manager, um, 10, 15 years ago, and you came up to me and said, "Hey, Hans, what's going on with this customer?" I'd be like, Jeff, let me get back to you in 10 minutes. I have no idea. I was terrible. And
Yeah,
that falls suit with calendar management and, and scheduling and
yeah,
everything else. I was terrible at it. Um, I think as technology's progressed, um, even not to throw not to throw it all about a net-to-phone type thing, but as UCAS and the net-to-phone type platform is there, and I'm able to use that for work. I think it's been more or less not looking at technology as being something I'm just selling and it kind of is a burden to change the things that I'm doing, but finding ways within technology with all the millions of apps that are out there now and things that are there to help you become a better person, when it comes to work, when it comes to work-life balance, when it comes to all these different things, is really my biggest hack is just embracing some of the tools that are now available and researching those tools and even downloading them and trying them to see if it's
yeah,
something that I could use correctly. And it's really been around just building the proper stack. My biggest life hack has really been about building the proper stack of technology that allows me to remind myself to stay in front of the right people, to make sure I'm contacting the right people, to make sure I just have my calendar correct and I'm not
yeah,
double booking things. That's a hard thing. That's one of my hardest. If you ask me my biggest challenge right now, especially with Net2Phone, it's not double booking appointments. I've got so
okay,
many partners now and people that are so interested in our product, especially in this territory,
yeah.
that we're constantly setting up demos, having meetings. So it's just trying to make
A
sure I'm
good
not
problem to have. Yeah,
it's a good problem. It definitely is a good problem.
huh?
But that's the technology thing's a huge life hack. I think the other thing that I never valued as much as I do now, that is the other thing that is just as equal is relationships.
Mhm.
Um, if you looked at young business Hans, I was very much transactional. I
Yeah,
was a transactional guy. Hey, I got
so
this
was
deal.
I.
Let's get it done.
Yep.
I can't tell you how valuable some of these relationships are that I have with partners, with people that are in the industry that are even competitors.
Yeah.
That it's probably the most valuable thing out there at this
Yeah,
point.
if you can have a way or format to keep in touch with people and not view it as transactional. I was there too. It's like on to the next deal, on to the next partner. Like, no, you gotta like make sure you stay in touch a couple times a year, make sure they remember you, make sure you remember them, like take notes on the person, their of who they are. Like those are valuable. So that makes
Yeah.
sense. Well, good. We're kind of almost out of time. Last couple of questions are the fun ones. So, what's a place with the credit card rewards? There's obviously we love to travel. My clients love to travel. What's a fun place that you've been that you could report on? That's a good vacation destination or something that you've loved when you've done travel recently. It doesn't even have to be
Um,
recently.
so I'm just gonna throw the one out there that my wife and our family, we didn't really fly anywhere. We actually took a big road trip. Um, and one of the places I'd never gone to, and we went to as one of destination. It was a 2-week road trip. But it was to Yellowstone. I thought Yellowstone was the coolest thing ever. I'd been the first time I ever went there.
Yeah.
I think that everybody should go there. It is just, it is so cool. And one of the funnest things I think me and my kids had is watching the squirrels. The squirrels sit there and they play with each other the whole time. It's like you can sit there and have a campfire and watch these squirrels just chase each other around and wrestle. And it is pretty fun. The other place that we went to on that trip, which I thought was just fantastic, it was beautiful. It was a great place to go. Was Crater Lake in Oregon.
Okay.
If you've never been to Crater Lake, definitely a place to
I
go
know
check
that.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And it's also on the Pacific Coast Trail. So what's really neat is you go camp there and stuff and hang out, and you'll get these hikers that look like they haven't probably taken a shower for 3 weeks, and they're coming in, but they're so cool. They're people that are hiking the Pacific Coast Trail, and you can sit there and chat with them about their stories on the trail. And some of them have some amazing stories on what they've run into and things they've seen while they were hiking.
Yeah. Okay. Those are good. Yeah. I love Yellowstone. Been there many times. Been there as a family. Crater Lake, I got to check out. Those are good. Those are good tips. Okay. Well, last question. Are you, so we've got, obviously in this business world we're in, we make money, we make hopefully good money. We've got an end goal. Maybe retirement is in the future at some point. Do you have like a goal as far as retirement? What in your head? Do you have any like plans after work? Do you enjoy work that you could see yourself working until the day you die? Like what's your end goal with your
Okay, I got the stupidest goal ever, but most people roll their eyes. Are like, "You're crazy." But my immediate goal right now is my wife and I are looking to buy a house. So we're looking to buy a house. But my long-term goal for retirement, and it may just be a 2-year stint. I don't know. But what I want to do is I want to buy an RV and I want to travel the country and go to minor league baseball games. I want to go to a different one or two different minor league baseball games every week for at least 6 months to a year or so. I think it would be fun if you've never been to a minor league, like a double A or a triple A baseball game. I would take that over an MLB game all day. They're so much fun. They build their team and their environment around the fan experience. And they're just fun because the people playing baseball in those leagues aren't getting paid much, if anything. They just have the hopes and dreams of being a Major League Baseball player, and it's just a blast. They want to be out there. They love to play. I love sports, but I love sports even more when you take the high income out of it and you get to watch the true sportsmen play their game and they want to play it. So yeah, that's been a goal that I've had for a long time. My wife still goes, "Oh, you might be going by yourself," but
well,
I think it would be fun.
That's awesome. That's a fun one. I would love to do the same. I like traveling and seeing parts of the U.S. that I haven't seen. And an RV would be fun. And my wife, not so much. Like I don't know if that would be her jam, but that's definitely an original answer I've never heard before. So yeah, appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah,
it seems like a fun thing to do. That's cool. For the love of the game.
Like I said, it might only last for 6 months. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't have to have a set timeline. Just theme it the love of the game and see how long till you get bored of it. But
yeah,
that's cool.
And there's nothing better than a hot dog at an
it tastes better for some reason on a golf course or on a baseball stadium. For sure.
It's like even here in Boise, we've got the Boise Hawks, and it's like you go out there and you have a dog over there, and grab your soda or beer or whatever. It's like those drinks and those hot dogs don't taste better anywhere else.
Oh yeah, it's
outside
weird
when it's hot out in the sun. I mean, it's nothing better.
It's part of the soul of baseball. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, good. Hey, thanks for your time today, Hans. We appreciate it. We've got. Where can people find you if they want to connect, business, personal? Where can people find you? Where are you at?
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. So if they want to click the link from our podcast here, they can go right to my LinkedIn profile. I in my contact, I have my information on there, so they can text me, email me, whichever. And then, of course, you and I work together, so they can always reach out to you and get my contact info from you as well.
Okay, great. Yeah, we'll post all that in the show notes and get this rocking, get this sent out so people can know a little more in depth who you are and appreciate your time, and have a great day.
Thanks, Jeff. You too.